So the next piece I want to talk about is annotation. So if you go from this ribbon bar to the annotate tools, you'll see that you can do dimensions, details, text, tags, color, fill, and symbols. So dimensions, I'm sure you guys know very well. You have used them a lot in your school projects. So just basically, align is a very useful tool. How it works is you will pick a line and a direction, and it will go parallel or perpendicular to this. And then for the second one, you have to pick a point or another line that is parallel to the first wall. So in this case, I'm going to just pick this point and give me a dimension. If I wanted this to act differently, it would be a different, it would be based on how I pick my thing. So based on where you click first and second, it will give you different directions and different orientations. When you have drawn a dimension, you can select that and go to edit type, and again change the details of it. You can change the graphics of how you see the actual dimension, and then you can also change details of how, or properties of how you see the text. So those are pretty straightforward. You can go edit them there. And I've shown you guys before that there's nothing that is parallel here, so it's a bit difficult, but let's just try it on these guys. So you can just quickly go through, maybe dimension everything, and come out with a big dimension line. I talked to you guys about how to equalizing everything and how to locking them and changing those dimensions manually. Just to do it one more time very quickly, if you have a dimension somewhere and you pick a wall, this will turn blue, and by changing that number, your wall will move to match that number. That's how it works. Some other things, some other dimensioning that you could do is you can do angles very easily. So by selecting two lines, you can get an angular dimension. You could do radials and all that kind of thing. The other thing that is interesting is the slope of a roof. So even if I'm in a 3D view and I'm looking at this roof, I just click on slope and I'll go on it. At each moment, it will give me the slope, and you can change the units of it, which is pretty cool and interesting. So back to this view. So you can edit this type, but I'm pretty sure you guys have worked with AutoCAD before. In AutoCAD, you could, so these dimensions were basically blocks that you could explode, and you could cheat and change the number to whatever you wanted. And we used that a lot at school, but now Revit does not let us do that. You can double click on the letter, on the number, and it will open up this for you. It doesn't let you change the value just by faking it, but you can replace that with a text. So I can say I want it to be 6,000 meters. Doesn't let me do that. There are limitations to it to stop us from cheating. So you can kind of cheat in a way and change that number to something that is not true, with maybe adding a few letters at the end. But it's pretty smart in stopping you from doing that, because it has this tool. You can have suffixes and prefixes and texts above and below. So let's say I want to do millimeters, I want to do I don't know, whatever here, they'll show up. And if I'm trying to repeat that in my text, it will identify that I'm trying to cheat, and it doesn't let me unless it's something that is not that obvious. So be smart in cheating. That's that. So the next tool in Annotate is the details. They are very useful when you are doing especially section details, and there are things that you have not modeled and you just want to show them in an assembly detail or something in a very closed up section. They're very useful. You can draw any kind of lines, and you can make things look like they have been modeled. If you did not make that in the 3D, which I recommend first, if you can solve something in 3D, do that. But they are just lines, so they're not smart. They do not really understand what you're doing, and they're just representing something that you have missed in your drawing. So you can do that here. Also, you can add maybe hatched regions if you need them. So for this case, let's say I want to hatch this, and I'll draw a closed area, and it will hatch that for me. If I do a bigger one, it will be a better example to show. So let me just do it again. I'll pick the lines. I'll go around these walls maybe, and there, and then I want that and that, and I'll trim these just to have it closed and clean. And then I've got a hatched region. You can go edit your graphics and give it some transparency if you need it, maybe 100% transparency, so I can see everything underneath that region. Why did it work? 100%. Okay, so you can see all the wall lines and everything beneath that or below this, and then this hatch will still appear. You can also select and bring it front to the front and the back, similar to a lot of Adobe softwares that does that. That's the region thing. You can also mask stuff. So if you have a portion in your plan view that you don't want to show in a specific view for any reason, you can mask it here, and then that would be hidden. So like that, you won't see it. Those lines are here just because you're modeling, but in the final view they won't show up. The other thing you could do, they have a tool for installation, because a lot of times that's not model, you just draw that. So if it's not in your wall assembly, you can fake an installation like this. Or not. And then there are actual components that you can bring in that are just drawn in 2D. As you can see, it's used in a lot of detailing and assemblies, so you can do those. And then the other thing that is very common in the work environment is the revision clouds. So whatever needs to be revised or changed or edited in a meeting or afterwards, we'll just do that and say, and put a text next to it and see what needs to be done with it, or is under revision or will be updated, and something like that. And you can give them colors and change them as you go through the process of developing your design. Those are the details. And then very simply, you can just do text. So you will just use these tools to type stuff in based on what you need. That is pretty straightforward. And then you can also tag things. So you can tag your doors and windows by category, meaning that you would go to a window and just tag that one by one based on what you have defined, and that number is defined in your object type, so it's reading it from that, or you can change it manually. And then the other thing you could do is to go into annotate and tag all, and for example here say I want all my doors to have tags, and then say okay, it will give all the doors a tag usually. So doors having tags, apply, not doing it. Okay, let's say walls have a tag. There we go. So walls are having tags now. The tags are not defined to show up information, but they are all giving a tag at the same time. I don't know why the door tag did not work, but the windows, all you could give them a once and change them. So that's pretty straightforward and simple as well. The other thing that is interesting and we never talked about is how you can define rooms in Revit, and that's a very useful tool to know about. So if I go back to my architecture tab, so before here, do you guys have any questions so far? No? You guys are good? Anything that did not really work? No? All right. Okay, so if you go under your architecture tab, there's a portion called room and area. Area is a bit maybe not as useful as room, so I'm just gonna show you how to do rooms now. So if you want to define an area as a room, you just simply click on the room, and as long as it's closed by walls and it's a closed environment, you can click there and define that as a room, and then it will come with a tag that will show you the information you want to show. So you want to see maybe the area and the room. So it shows you what's the area, what's the room name, and what's its number. You can these are families that you can edit. If you double click, you open up the family. You can edit what information is showing and how it is showing those information. You can change it to family editing tool, and then you can basically define all the rooms in your project by just placing a room component on them. So this is room 2. I'm giving them a name so that we can address them later, room 3. And then there's another tool that if you don't have a wall, but you're defining different spaces in your environment, you can use this tool called Room Separator that would separate a room without actually drawing a wall. So let's say this portion is a lobby or something. I don't have a room between. I don't have a wall between them, but it's a different room. So I will just draw this line that I can even hide, and then as you can see, if I select this room here is just that area, and now that is open. I can call that a different room, like this. So a lot of times when you have a staircase or something that has not been identified by your room tool, you will just go into Room Separator and try to draw the lines around that so that it's not calculated in your area calculations. So I'm just going to quickly, so you could draw the lines around this and draw that. So that's how to define rooms, but it gets even more interesting because you can extract information from them very easily. So if you want to color code your plan, you can go to color scheme, and then from here, instead of spaces, you click room, and then you give it a name, say room color code, and then it now identifies there's a room somewhere, which I don't know where that is, but the room 1, 2, 3, and 4 that I defined here are now these colors and have these properties that I can change. So you can change the color if you need it, and then when you say OK, now each of them is assigned with a color, which are not showing up yet. So when nothing is selected under View Properties, you can go to your color scheme, and here you can now select your rooms and go to Room Color Code and just say Apply, and now you can see the color codes showing up. Then you can go back to your Annotate tool, and from this color field you can get a color field legend and just put it there. So now you have a legend that shows each of the rooms and have each of the colors. You could also work with showing the areas on a table and get a lot of more information from them. I think we'll talk about these when we talk more about how to get data in a BIM environment and how to address those issues. But for now, just to know that you can define rooms, you can color code them, and you can have a legend that address them is good enough for annotation. And then lastly is the symbols you could add in. So as you know, for example, you can do stair path arrow. So if I select this, it will automatically show me the up direction by this arrow that it's adding, or I can just click on symbol and then it's loading the families that I have in the model. You can download more stuff and put them in, but for now I just want to show a north arrow. For example, I'll come in and put my north arrow in, and that's just a symbol, and I think that's all about